You know how some ideas seem absolutely genius in the moment, only to reveal themselves as catastrophic in hindsight? That's exactly how I ended up in the middle of a hipster cafe, utterly out of my element, trying to impress Alex, a coworker I had been low-key pining after for months. The idea started forming on a Tuesday afternoon. Alex, effortlessly cool and impossibly stylish, was raving about this coffee shop they frequented, the Bean Scene. Now, let's be clear, I am not a coffee person. My morning beverage of choice is a big glass of chocolate milk, or on a particularly fancy day, one of those powdered cappuccino packets that taste more like sugar than coffee. But Alex? Alex was a connoisseur. Their pour-overs are amazing, Alex said, eyes lighting up. And the baristas? Total pros. They know their single origins, their roasts, it's like art, really. I nodded along, pretending to know what single origins or pour-overs were. Inside, though, I was panicking. I had no clue what any of this meant, but I was sure of one thing: if Alex loved this cafe, then I had to find a way to make it look like I loved it too. Enter my grand plan. By sheer coincidence, or so I wanted Alex to think, I'd happen to visit the Bean Scene on Saturday morning. I'd bump into them there, casually exchange witty banter, and somehow convince them that I, too, was a coffee enthusiast with sophisticated taste and zero caffeine-related insecurities. What could possibly go wrong? The moment I stepped into the Bean Scene, I knew I was in over my head. The place reeked of exclusivity, and coffee beans, of course. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the room in natural light, illuminating the kind of people who probably woke up early just to Instagram their avocado toast. Edison bulbs dangled over sleek wooden tables, and succulents were strategically placed on every surface. It looked like someone had Googled hipster aesthetic and turned the results into a coffee shop. The clientele didn't make it any easier. Everyone in there looked like they belonged in a magazine. Vintage scarves, perfectly tousled hair, and outfits that were somehow casual yet impossibly cool. Meanwhile, I had thrown on my best sweater, which wasn't saying much because it had a mysterious ketchup stain near the hem. My panic escalated as I approached the counter. The menu was scrawled in elaborate chalk script, and every item looked like it required a master's degree to pronounce. I squinted, trying to make sense of it: flat white, nitro cold brew, cascara latte, Kyoto drip. What did any of these words even mean? Hi there, a cheerful barista greeted me. They had a full-sleeve tattoo of what appeared to be coffee plants and were wearing suspenders like it was the 1920s. Hi, I said, my voice cracking slightly. I scanned the menu desperately. My brain latched onto the first recognizable word. I'll have a mocha. Wait, no. A mocha macchiato? The barista raised an eyebrow. So, do you want a mocha, or do you want a macchiato? I froze. Was there a difference? Both? Together? The barista's expression didn't falter, but I could feel the judgment radiating off them. Got it. Anything else? Yes. I said, grasping at straws. Triple oat milk. And extra foam. Please. There was a slight pause as the barista wrote down my order, probably resisting the urge to laugh. All right, they said. Name? It's, Taylor, I mumbled, trying to shrink into myself. As I shuffled to the pickup counter, I caught sight of Alex. They were sitting by the window, bathed in sunlight, typing away on their laptop. A nearly empty mug of coffee rested on the table, next to a book with an incomprehensible title. My heart skipped a beat. Okay, this was fine. Totally fine. I'd get my drink, stroll over casually, and make some witty comment about the cafe. Maybe I'd even compliment their choice of drink and ask for recommendations. Easy. It wasn't long before my name was called. Taylor. Mocha macchiato, triple oat milk, extra foam. I stepped up, determined to exude confidence. The barista handed me my drink, which was, frankly, ridiculous. The cup was filled to the absolute brim with foam, so much so that the lid was barely hanging on. It felt like a Jenga tower just waiting to topple. I turned toward Alex, rehearsing a line in my head, "Hey. Fancy seeing you here. What are you working on?" Simple, casual, perfect. But fate had other plans. As I walked, I tried to adjust my grip on the precarious cup. My fingers fumbled, and the lid popped off. In slow motion, the contents of the cup, hot, sticky, frothy coffee, spilled everywhere. It was a caffeine tsunami. Coffee cascaded across the counter, dripping onto the floor in slow, dramatic splashes. Gasps erupted from nearby patrons. The barista froze, wide-eyed. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," I blurted, grabbing a stack of napkins. But in my frantic attempt to mop up the mess, I managed to knock over a jar of coffee beans. It crashed to the ground, shattering into a million pieces. "Oops," I yelped, crouching to pick up the shards. Before I could make any progress, I accidentally backed into a display shelf, sending several small bags of artisan coffee tumbling to the floor. The chaos was overwhelming. And that's when it happened. In the midst of the madness, I somehow pressed the emergency fire alarm button mounted near the counter. The siren was deafening. The fire alarm blared with a level of intensity usually reserved for actual disasters, not coffee spills. It was so loud I could feel it reverberating in my teeth. I froze, napkins in one hand and coffee-soaked shards of glass in the other. My brain struggled to process what had just happened. Around me, the bean scene descended into chaos. "Is this a drill?" someone shouted. "No way, it's Saturday," another voice replied. Patrons scrambled to grab their laptops and belongings, clutching mugs and to-go cups like they were precious artifacts. One particularly frantic man wrapped his scarf around his Chemex pour-over contraption as if it were his firstborn child. A barista darted toward the counter, trying to silence the alarm, but it was no use. The sound was relentless. And there I was, in the epicenter of the disaster I had created, still holding those stupid napkins. "Hey, are you okay?" I turned to see Alex standing a few feet away, their expression a mix of concern and amusement. The sight of them, calm in the chaos, impossibly composed, made my stomach do a somersault. "Oh, yeah, totally fine," I shouted over the siren, though my voice cracked in a way that betrayed how not fine I actually was. "This kind of thing happens to me all the time." Alex raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "I should, help clean up," I added, reaching for the display shelf I had knocked over. But in my haste, I slipped on the puddle of spilled coffee. The world tilted. I landed flat on my back with a wet splat, legs splayed in the middle of the mess. The napkins fluttered out of my hands, utterly useless. "Oh my God, Taylor!" Alex exclaimed, rushing over. "Are you hurt?" "Nope. All good," I lied, even as pain radiated up my spine. My dignity, however, was not good. It was beyond saving. After what felt like an eternity, one of the baristas managed to silence the fire alarm. The cafe was eerily quiet for a moment, save for the sound of dripping coffee and someone muttering, "What just happened?" A manager emerged from the back, surveying the scene with a look that said, "What in the name of espresso is going on here?" "False alarm, everyone," the manager announced. "No need to evacuate." Slowly, patrons returned to their seats, though many shot me side-eyes as they passed. I couldn't blame them. The floor was a battlefield of spilled drinks, shattered glass, and scattered coffee beans, and I was the sole cause. I pushed myself to a sitting position, ignoring the sticky feeling spreading across my sweater. Alex knelt beside me, offering a hand. "Here," they said, pulling me to my feet with surprising strength. That was a lot. I nodded, too mortified to form words. My sweater was soaked, my jeans were stained, and my sneakers squelched with every step. I was a walking disaster zone. "Let me help," Alex offered, grabbing a broom from a nearby barista. "No, you don't have to," I protested, but Alex was already sweeping up the mess like a pro. I couldn't tell if they were being kind or just couldn't look away from the train wreck I had become. As we worked together to clean up, the reality of the situation hit me. My grand plan to impress Alex had backfired in spectacular fashion. Not only had I failed to appear cool and collected, but I had also likely cemented myself as a cautionary tale in the cafe's history. Just as I thought the chaos was winding down, a new problem emerged. The cafe door had been propped open to let in some fresh air after the fire alarm, and somehow, a small bird had flown inside. At first, no one noticed. But then the bird swooped low, narrowly missing a woman carrying a tray of pastries. "Ah!" she shrieked, ducking. The bird flapped frantically around the cafe, darting between hanging plants and Edison bulbs. Patrons ducked and covered their heads as the bird spiraled overhead, clearly just as panicked as we were. "Seriously?" I muttered to myself. Naturally, the bird headed straight for me. I ducked as it flew past, its wings brushing my hair. In my attempt to avoid it, I backed into another shelf, this one displaying an assortment of artisanal mugs. Crash! The mugs tumbled to the ground, shattering like dominoes. Gasps erupted once again. Alex turned to me, their mouth twitching in what I could only describe as a suppressed laugh. "You're really having a day, huh?" "You could say that," I mumbled, feeling my face burn. The bird, still panicked, veered toward the open door but smacked into a window instead. A barista finally managed to shoo it outside with a broom, and the cafe erupted in relieved applause. By the time the chaos settled, I wanted nothing more than to disappear. But Alex, to my surprise, stuck by my side. "Don't worry," they said, handing me a towel to clean up my sweater. "Everyone has bad days. Yours is just very eventful." "Yeah," I said, wringing out the towel. "Eventful is one way to put it." The manager approached, their arms crossed. "Everything okay over here?" "Oh, yeah, totally fine," I said, forcing a smile. "I'm so sorry about all this. I'll pay for the damages, of course." The manager sighed, clearly annoyed but not outright furious. "Just be careful next time." Next time? There was no way I was ever setting foot in the bean scene again. By the end of it, Alex convinced me to sit down and have a drink, on them, no less. They even ordered for me, sparing me another menu debacle. As we sipped our drinks, a simple mocha for me, because apparently that's my safe choice, Alex started laughing. "You know," they said, "most people just try to strike up a conversation when they want to impress someone. You didn't have to bring the whole cafe to a standstill." I stared at them, wide-eyed. "Wait. You knew?" Alex grinned. "Taylor, you're not exactly subtle." I groaned, burying my face in my hands. "This is officially the worst day of my life." "Nah," Alex said, nudging my arm. "It's kind of endearing, honestly." As I sat there with Alex, sipping my now iconic simple mocha, I couldn't shake the feeling that the cafe, and everyone in it, was still watching me. The aftermath of my chaos was everywhere. The faint smell of burned espresso lingered in the air, shards of glass and spilled coffee were still being swept up by annoyed baristas, and a small, out-of-order, sign had been hastily taped over the fire alarm button. I wasn't just a customer at the bean scene anymore. I was the customer. The legend. "Alright, I think I should probably go before I accidentally burn the place down," I said, half joking but fully serious. Alex chuckled. "Good idea. I'll walk you out, make sure you don't trip on the way." Great. Now I was going to need a new name, a fake mustache, and possibly a new country to escape this embarrassment. But I wasn't about to turn down extra time with Alex, even if it came with a side of pity. Before leaving, I decided to attempt one last dignity-saving move, cleaning up in the bathroom. My sweater was still damp, and my hair looked like I'd been through a wind tunnel. Thanks, rogue bird. Be right back, I told Alex, gesturing toward the hallway. The cafe's single bathroom was at the end of a narrow corridor, next to a door marked "Employees Only." I twisted the handle, only to discover the door wouldn't budge. Locked. Occupied? I called out, knocking lightly. No response. I waited for a moment, but still nothing. Curious, and desperate, I twisted the handle again and gave it a firm push. The door swung open, not into a bathroom, but into what appeared to be a small storage closet. What the? I muttered, peering inside. The closet was crammed with bags of coffee beans, cleaning supplies, and an ominously large espresso machine part one couldn't identify. It was definitely not the bathroom. But before I could back away, the door slammed shut behind me, the sound echoing ominously in the narrow space. I tried the handle. It didn't budge. You have got to be kidding me. Hello? I called out, banging on the door. Little help here? It didn't take long for Alex to notice my absence. I heard their voice from the other side of the door. Taylor? Are you in there? Yeah, I groaned. Apparently, I can't even walk to the bathroom without getting stuck in a broom closet. There was a pause, then a stifled laugh. Hang on. Let me see if I can get it open. A moment later, I heard them fiddling with the handle. After what felt like an eternity, the door creaked open, revealing Alex with an amused grin. Are you okay? They asked, offering a hand to help me out. Physically? Yes. Emotionally? Never again, I replied, accepting their hand. Why do bad things only happen to me when you're around? Maybe the universe is trying to get us to spend more time together, Alex teased. My brain short-circuited for a moment, trying to determine if they were flirting or just being nice. Either way, I wasn't complaining. With the storage closet fiasco behind us, Alex and I made our way to the exit. As we passed the counter, the barista with the coffee plant tattoo gave me a look that could only be described as a mixture of exhaustion and wariness. Have a good day, they said, their tone suggesting they'd prefer if I never returned. As we stepped outside, the crisp morning air hit me like a breath of fresh freedom. The nightmare was finally over, or so I thought. The sidewalk in front of the bean scene was crowded with people, most of them sipping coffee and chatting in groups. In my eagerness to escape unnoticed, I didn't realize that the cafe's curb had a slight incline. My sneaker caught on the edge, and before I knew it, I was pitching forward. I flailed for balance, but it was too late. I hit the ground with a spectacular lack of grace, sprawling face-first on the pavement. My remaining dignity evaporated as I heard gasps and stifled laughter from the crowd. Alex rushed to my side, trying not to laugh. Oh my God, are you okay? Just living my best life, I muttered, pushing myself up. My knees were scraped, and my pride was officially deceased, but I was otherwise unharmed. Alex offered me their hand, again, and helped me to my feet. For what it's worth, they said, still smiling, I don't think I've ever had this much fun at a coffee shop. Despite the sheer amount of embarrassment I had endured, there was something oddly comforting about Alex's reaction. They didn't seem annoyed or judgmental. In fact, they seemed entertained. As we walked toward the corner where we'd part ways, Alex turned to me. Hey, they said, their tone suddenly more serious. I know today didn't exactly go as planned for you, but I think it's cool that you handled everything with humor. A lot of people would have just run out crying. Oh, I thought about it, I admitted, laughing. Multiple times. Alex grinned. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Because, honestly, I had a great time. We should hang out again sometime, maybe somewhere less hazardous. My heart skipped a beat. Was this actually happening? Yeah, I said, trying to play it cool despite the fact that I wanted to scream with joy. Less hazardous sounds good. We exchanged numbers before going our separate ways. As I walked home, battered and coffee-stained but somehow victorious, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. The day had been a complete disaster, but maybe disasters aren't always such a bad thing.